sweet playing. Welcome all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is U.S. Comics Cast, HQ for all things comic book related. I'm John Rivera, the C to the E to the O, and co-founder of U.S. Comics.
And that makes me your COO, your Mr. Killer Fingers himself, the co-founder, the co-host, the best Charlie you know, Charlie
Can't tell
Rivera.
this kid anything.
Happy
Unbelievable.
Comic Book Day, my
I have
brother.
a new title to add to your increasingly long list. Your business card is getting completely unproducible.
Yeah.
Charlie, give him up, Rivera. You can't tell this mother sucker nothing.
I don't know what you're talking about. I do, however, know it's Wednesday. And you know what that means? It means we are back. And as if my weeks weren't trying to pull me out of the abyss that is this year, out of the abyss of frustrating, if it's not trying to distract me from the countdown to Ghostbusters Afterlife, did you shine your rosaries up? Because Boondock Saints 3, it's finally happening, like a gift I assumed was lost in the mail. First, mostly the amount of broken and dashed dreams related to Boondock Saint shit since the first one came out. And then we waited a little too long for a sequel. And then I was like, yeah. And they were like, don't worry, baby. The Saints are in jail. They're going to fuck some shit up. And then they were like, ha. Nah, we'll see.
Don't worry about it, kid.
We're going to do a TV show. Nah.
The very look, for anyone who is, and there might be a few uninitiated out there who are not familiar with Boondock Saints. So relatively quickly, Charlie, walk us through it, because though we are both, we're both directly affiliated. We own the peacoats. We've got the rosaries. We pulled off the Rivera / McManus brother look at Comic-Con.
It's like Irish guys with tans. It's fine.
Yeah, sure. You heard of Black Irish? We were Puerto Rican Irish. That's a thing. I mean, there is Mexican Irish. Just look at Canelo Alvarez. St. Patrick's Division, Mexican American War. Look it up. But yeah, Charlie, walk us through, because this is a movie that pretty much from like the minute that the editing of the editing of principal photography wrapped, there were all kinds of issues. So just walk us through the quick timeline for anyone who's unfamiliar with the wonderful the Latin inspired fucking Boondock Saints. Take it away, man.
So it all starts in kind of the afterbirth, to be vulgar, of the indie movie kind of heights that brought us films like Slacker, brought us films like Clerks, when Quentin Tarantino was just getting fully super powered up. There was this amazing musician, director, and writer, Troy Duffy, who in like the same month not only got his band signed to a record deal, he also sold his script, and he was promised to direct it. Originally, the studio wanted to go with name actors in the titular roles in the aforementioned McManus brothers, and instead
we want real Boondocks.
Exactly. So then Troy Duffy fought for the two guys he thought would be best. This is Powder himself, Sean Patrick Flannery, and a man whose fame is somehow even stickier than his greasy hair in The Walking Dead. But Norman Reedus played the other brother with one of the worst Irish accents ever set to film, and yet I love it.
You know what? The fact that they went to bat for these two, and I obviously love the franchise, but the fact that that Duffy went to bat. At no point in the conversation, I'm like, well, all right, can they do Irish accents? Did I mention Willem Dafoe's going to be it? Guys, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
exactly. And they're like, oh, shit, you know what? Green light. Here's a check. So yeah, not to cut you down, Charlie, but so this is 1999, and action movies. I mean, we're just coming out of the regular weekend blockbuster era of like the Steven Seagal flicks and the fucking JCVD flicks, and like you didn't really need much narrative to justify the boom boom and the bang bang and the kick, right? And here comes this like little movie that could, and it had like there was story, right? There was every bad act that you caught on screen. There was a justification for it. There was an explanation for it. Some might even argue an over explanation for it. But the fucking if you had walked under a ladder while tripping into a glass mirror and breaking it as a flock of black cats crossed your path, this fucking movie could not have had worse luck because there were school shootings and like the news was blowing up like more than any scene in the flick. And they were like, hey, you know what? Remember that opening that you were supposed to have? Yeah, no, that's not gonna fucking happen. So everything bad that could have possibly happened to a movie just prior to it kind of like whimpering opening, it did. So the initial reaction was a non-reaction. It wasn't even to the point where people could say like, I saw it, I didn't like it. Nobody fucking saw it. So this is the literal definition of a cult classic. It was a cult, the Duffy cult, where him selling shit Legion. Online. I mean, we paid for the majority of the sequel. So you're welcome, America.
And a premium. There were no $20 t-shirts when Troy was bundling themselves. What's funny, though, is even the expected drama to come out of what possibly wasn't the best call was to hire a documentary crew to be like, I'm such a genius. Says a guy I love and I've met, and I've been fortunate enough that he's bought me a couple drinks.
I know.
But Troy Duffy really set himself up.
Ungrateful son of a bitch. You buy the motherfucker multiple rounds. You hang out with him in New York and in Boston. You invite this motherfucker to come up to Boston and chill, and he's dropping this bullshit. That's what happened.
I'm not saying it's right, but again, hire a documentary film crew. They then choose just the most heinous shit that you say while bullshitting, and that no one even saw the fucking documentary, so they didn't even get the press of like, you see this dickbags movie. Again, it was nothing. I remember the first time you showed it to me, I was so overwhelmed by the level of awesome. The big moment at the end where it's like El Duce is their dad. That's like a huge part of it. I was like, that's his fucking... I was like, that's his dad?
I was like, yo, these motherfuckers are going to the head of the class, son. That's the dad. It was literally like a feeling, rather a movie that just elicited feelings, right? Is it the most well-written thing ever? No. Are the action sequences the most out of the world? No. Is it the best Irish accents that you're gonna hear? Certainly not. But is it a slam dunk fun flick? Action boom boom, 100%, 100 fucking percent.
And what's interesting is people sometimes misconstrue the love for that film, because I love Boondock Saints the way I love Clerks, but again, Kevin Smith with Clerks borrowed so much. Ideally, I mean, if Kevin's down, he's looking all good, losing all that weight. Lost my train of thought for a second.
Yeah, no. The same way that another heart attack.
The same way that Kevin Smith was inspired by Slacker, and Clerks feels like a Slacker-esque film. Obviously, Troy Duffy was trying to pull a Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, he's making a Tarantino type flick.
Exactly. And I think sometimes it gets thrown in the pile of knockoffs when really it's just so... I mean, again, they explode a cat, and not in a fucked up way. Critics and people who love hating things as a profession.
What the fuck?
Now, again, you and I, this was one of those movies that we didn't see it at the...
it was a bonding movie though. Like this was one of those movies that you can go back and reference time and time again. Now, just really quickly, because again, I know we're up against the clock already because of our enthusiasm. But this is one of those flicks. Truth be told, I wasn't even. I'll be generous and say I was not halfway through my first viewing of Boondock Saints when the thought, the little thought demon popped up and was like, enjoy this because you ain't getting another one. There is no fucking way.
Oh,
You're
even
lucky
back
that you
then
got
it
to
was
see this.
problematic.
They tried to bury this movie. They didn't want it. The proverbial they didn't want me to see that movie the first damn time. So I'm like, good thing I own it now.
Thank God for
So,
Blockbuster.
well, here's the thing. This is my point, Charlie. I was like, enjoy this because it's like finding a great sweater at a going out of business sale. You're like, damn, I just discovered this motherfucker, and it's gonna be shuttered and locked. So when the credits rolled, I sat back like it was a good meal, opened my pants, shoved my hand down. I'm like, that was good. That was good. And never, literally never, I didn't even bother asking for it or wishing for it. I never thought that I was going to get a one sequel to Boondock Saints. Then they were like, oh shit, remember that thing that you talked about incessantly for months and months and months? Finally, Boondock Saints is back. And they announced Boondock 2. And I'm like, oh, snappy nappy, who's coming back? Who we getting? We got Clifton Collins Jr., who I'm a huge fan of. For me, at least, the main issue was that so much time had elapsed between the first movie and the sequel that in the rare moments where you're like, I wonder what a second Boondock would have looked like, because again they set up the first like, oh, there's gonna be a next chapter, and I know, speaking for myself, the sequel, while I thoroughly enjoyed it for what it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It's not that it wasn't what I expected it to be, because I didn't really have any true expectations.
Yeah.
It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So, what was your first reaction on Boondock 2?
So I was so entrenched in my love for Boondock Saints 1
Yeah.
that its sheer existence got me through the first like 3 viewings before I could have even the thought of like, is this good? And I really, really do enjoy All Saints Day, but it comes with a lot of those asterisks of a lot of time had passed. It couldn't be the exact same sort of movie I had dreamt up, as opposed to you. I had dreamt up a billion versions of what it could be.
You have a lot of time to kill, so I believe that.
The 2 settings I thought it might take place in, the main one was in Ireland, and the movie opens up and they're like, we're in Ireland and we have the fakest beards ever, and then they immediately fucking pimp off. So I was like, oh, go back. So again, it falls into that category of I'm so glad this sequel exists.
Right.
I would never just watch All Saints Day though.
Here's a question from the front row. Do you think your opinion was somewhat modified by the fact that you did indeed, in celebration of the All Saints Day's release, hang out with, in essence, the entire cast, and creative of the fucking said movie, not just in your native New York, but also by invitation up to Boston.
On St. Patrick's Day.
Charlie came back like skitty. He wearing a kilt. He's fucking playing ska all over the place. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah,
Charlie. Yeah. I saw Charlie on Thursday. He was a chubby Puerto Rican brother. When he got back, he was a straight up leprechaun.
Yeah,
what the hell happened?
Yeah. I'm easily purchased, it turns out.
Right.
Hanging out with them was such a crazy experience. The real issue was on the other side of that. There was like a concert at both shows with bands and it just was like, okay, this is the only music I'm listening to for a while. Like the Dirges was just on constant play with me. But it was really, if nothing else, it made me endlessly support Norman Reedus. Because at that point, I, of course, liked him from Boondock Saints. I liked him in everything he did. And I don't want to assume what had happened, but in both New York, in Boston, I'm sorry, because he wasn't at the New York event, but in Boston, hell of a guy to hang outside with while he chain smoked. But he loved showing beautiful ladies the tour bus that he did not travel on. So I thought that was cool. I thought that like a bunch of very attractive women individually for like 45, 50 minutes at a time, he would take
Good for Norman.
on Troy
45,
Duffy's
50 minutes.
on
Was he taking a
Troy
nap?
on Troy Duffy's bus for the tour, which again, it's very important that I reiterate, Norman did not show up on. So he's a hell of a guy.
I gotta imagine that he was riding his motorcycle.
Probably. I will say
look,
this.
I'm not going to make it to New York. I'll see you guys in Boston.
2 reasons why I always support Norman Reedus. One, the reason he puts his middle finger up in photos is so that people can't sell them generally, which I think is very, very interesting and very smart because he doesn't say no to anyone's photo request. Also, there was a person I knew from New York that also went to the Boston St. Patrick's Day film release, and we were at a restaurant before the event. We see a car pull up. There's Norman Reedus. That's pretty fucking cool. So we had already paid. So we get up and we go outside, and this girl starts crying like the world was over, and she collapsed on the floor. Now, I didn't know her. I had a meal with a bunch of us were eating together. Norman Reedus looked at me with such a please help face. And all I could do, meeting this actor I respected,
I was like, I got you.
This was my reaction. I don't know her. What are the rules? What are the rules? I don't know. So yes.
Gotham was dark tonight when for the first time ever the bat signal was not answered.
Yeah,
Charlie
literally
would be up in Wayne Manor with his feeties up, fucking cross. He's got the fireplace, which is like 8 feet wide, burning bright. He's got his team on the big screen, and the commissioner lights it up. Commissioner Norman Reedus lit the lamp and called for assistance. When the fuck does Daryl ask for help? It doesn't happen unless your name is Carol. He does not ask for help. And the one time that he asks for some help. No wonder he had brother issues.
Yeah,
no wonder.
Yeah, it makes a lot. It makes a lot of sense.
Hangs out on the back roads of upstate New York with the damn Negan bad guys, because the good guys, they're like, you're on your own, buddy.
I really dropped. Now I will say this.
Sorry,
I will say this. He was still very nice to me later on. So,
well,
kudos to him, because I would not have been nice. I'd be like, you let that big girl be at my feet like I punched her in the gut. Because that was the reaction too. Like, it was an emotional fall. And again, he was quite the gentleman. Fun fact about that girl, she kept a bunch of his cigarette butts, which I think means he has little clones running around. I'm super excited for part 3, though.
I hope that their name are cigarette butts. Cigarette butt 1, did you finish your homework? No, cigarette butt 2 stole my pencil. Damn it. Cigarette butt 3, I thought I told you to watch those 2 morons.
Are you fully excited about it, or are you trepidatious because it was diminishing returns?
No. I am firmly in the camp of more is better. Give me more. Even to the point where, well, I mean, look,
normally my line.
They are, well, you know, you're
Boondock Saints, the cartoon.
You're contagious. You're contagious. I mean, look, I was all about the comic books, right? So we had to go to the 4-color funny book pages in order to get ongoing adventures, prequel work. I mean, the fucking the Boondock comics really kind of kept the fire burning for me, right? It kept and the guts. It was nice and warm and churning, to the point where I'm like, I love that world. Like Duffy's created a world where I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm fucking all in. I'm all about it. I'm invested. So totally, I made an investment in this material. I want to see the returns. Now, again, I don't live in the land of like this is good, that's bad. No, there's I like it, I didn't like it, but there's also varying degrees of that
Levels.
because I liked Boondock, I liked All Saints Day. Did I like them equally? Did I like them the same? No, I happen to like Boondock more than I liked All Saints Day. Now, because All Saints Day was the second to come around, my hope is Boondock 3, whatever it might be called, um, that it pulls a Last Crusade for me. Because I had very much the same, like the same order of reactions to Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and then Last Crusade. I liked Last Crusade significantly more than Temple. Did I like Temple? Yeah, sure. Fucking Indiana Jones is running around. Harrison Ford is cracking the whip. Of course I liked it. I just didn't happen to like it as much as Raiders. And then Last Crusade came in there and fucking, threw the tank off of the cliff and really did it. So that's what my best hope is. I'm
Yeah.
happy that it's happening. It says here it begins filming May of 22. So another reason to crack the bottle, crack the champagne this New Year's. But yeah, for me, that's what I hope it happens. I don't expect myself to like it more than the original because I wasn't expecting it. It was like a $20 bill the first time you put on a winter coat. Like, oh, look at this. But I hope that I like it more than All Saints Day. Though I did like All Saints Day, I just hope I like it more. I'm a simple man. I have simple needs.
I'm just so
What about
excited.
you? What about you?
The thing that really captivated me was that clearly Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flannery had input even in the concept for Boondock Saints 3. The article kind of called out to it that I shared with you. Of course, I forget where I found the article at this point because I was just so friggin' excited to see it.
Sure. Yeah,
But
trembling.
the reason that really excites me is because in the past, Troy Duffy has on his YouTube channel specifically, he's even had a hard time getting some of these episodes to keep going. And given the pandemic popped up, but a few months ago he was like, I'm going to be doing these weekly. Here's a number to call in to ask questions and I'll answer them. And then there was never an episode. There was never an episode 2, which the problem with that is despite loving this, despite being so excited for a third installment, the bottom line is it taught me that occasionally Troy Duffy's a liar.
Wow.
And I'm hoping that the part 3 will be his empire.
Charlie continues to burn Boston bridges right and left. Troy, all I'm going to say is this. I'll roll with you if this fucking ingrate does not. And I can only say it in a way that I know will resonate. In nomine Patri et Spiritus Sancti. Han shot first, motherfucker. Salute.
It burns so
Double
good.
gulper. Double fucking gulper.
We
All
are
right.
we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and the Twitch machine, rather. So make sure you guys are commenting along. What are you excited for? Ellis wanted you to know that you forgot the best Indiana Jones, which of course was the Crystal Skull.
I avoided that comment because it was the silliest thing he said. However, I will give him full credit. Boondock Saints 3D. I am all for it. To the point where I hope it is so successful that Disney Marvel has to roll in, buy up the franchise, envelop it, and we get a Boondock Saints 3D experience ride in both Orlando and across the country in Anaheim. But I must insist, Charlie, do what you do best and start my time.
It is begun.
Thank you. So this has been a week of news. It really has. A lot of it has been intentionally avoided by yours truly because I'm usually pretty fucking annoyed with what I see and what I read and what I hear. So the only way to truly avoid that is just to like, hey, you do one of these, just you know, I've arranged my living situation so much like I can get her. I don't have to turn on the lights if we're in the middle of the night to go take a pee. I'll sidestep a coffee table. I'll step over a dog. I'll do what I gotta do. I do not need everything brightly illuminated.
John
But
just using his sonar. I respect it.
whatever I gotta do. Whatever I gotta do. So when certain things are like bright fucking lights, when certain things um when certain things are insistent upon being paid attention to, what are you fucking gonna do, right?
Facts.
And naturally, I'm talking about only one thing, and that is new dope fucking comics.
Hell yeah.
So Charlie, go ahead and throw up that graphic that I know you have hanging on standby. New comic from the good folks over at Image Comics, fucking Newburn. This comic, and look, take it for what it's worth. Obviously, I don't think critics are worth shit. I think that is a pretty bad way to make your living, by trying to knock certain things down, or the most evil aversion, which is like, don't support this because of my opinion. Go fuck yourself. Oh, whatever. The critic conversation is a different conversation. But,
my God, but now I just want to have it. So for you, for like 25 minutes, just being like, here's another one I hate.
You
Jeff
don't. I mean, because
Stevenson.
the camera setup that I have here in my office doesn't allow for the extra height of a soapbox, and that's what it will be. It will be John on a soapbox. But Image Comics New Burn, it is straight up. Honestly, it's what I have been clamoring for, what I've been asking for in a Batman flick for many, many years now. It is a straight up detective fiction comic, right?
Oh, cool.
It's a procedural. So again, folks, you know me, you know what my tastes run to. I've got dynamite taste. It's not just about the caps and the and the gear. No, it's not just that. It's also comics. I have impeccable taste in comics.
Also, very modest.
You know what? Look, you know, you gotta be honest with the people. This comic, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, it's a procedural. It's
I have to pick that up. I didn't even hear about this.
Again, you can get it digitally. You can go get it in your shop. The protagonist is like your prototypical hard-boiled investigator. Nothing's gonna get past me. I actually had that feeling of like the first couple of panels when we were with Rorschach in Watchmen. You're like, yo, this motherfucker he's got the goods. You know, he knows that he's looking for something. You don't know exactly what he's looking for. But you know, again, this is coming from Chip Zdarsky and Jacob Phillips.
Chip's work on Daredevil alone should make you just be like, whatever you make, pal, use my money.
Honestly, certain creators, they establish equity with us as consumers, right? So when somebody puts something out or puts many somethings out where you're like, yeah, man, I am digging, I am picking up what you're laying down. When they come out with something new, when they come out with something, you know, off the menu, so to speak, you end up saying, you know what, yeah, sure, fuck it, I'll try it. So had it not been for this particular creative team, I might have missed this comic.
Yeah.
I might have missed it because as much as I love Image, and Image has been, let's be honest, in terms of comic books, Four Color Funnies, Image has been the hit maker. Image has kind of put the big two in the rear view in terms of like, you know, far thinking material. Like they're not just producing 27 variations of some shit that you've been reading or watching or hearing about since you were in short pants. So
Yeah.
Image is a progressive comic book company. That's the fact of the matter. And this comic is just another fucking example. Now let me ask you, Charlie, because detective books are not new by any stretch
Yeah.
of the imagination. I mean, even from Image, we had a fucking Sam and Twitch fucking
Yes.
spin-off. So I mean, like, Image knows the genre, but I mean, you tell me, like, are whodunits, detective books, like those type of comics your bag?
I just did a massive rewatch of Batman the Animated Series, and
Oh,
I'm so itchy right now for detective stuff because I it like was
well,
lost on
Batman
me
the
as a
animated series is like straight up fucking noir in a lot of
yeah,
spots. I mean,
which is
it's
and that's the thing I like didn't remember from childhood because as an adult I've only really watched the episodes I knew were amazing, like the same generic
cherry
top
picked it.
10, top 20, let's say, that everyone always talks about. So having started at the beginning and gone to it really, I don't consider myself much of a detective story guy, but I've
Mm.
never really experienced one I haven't enjoyed.
But
Sherlock, I mean,
you do like the genre because you
I
already
do.
established noir is something that kind of resonated with your little gray, mopey Eeyore soul. I can dig that.
It's almost just
Also as
Halloween. The crow affected me.
also as well as though what the fuck was I saying? So the art for this initial comic, and hopefully for a very long run, the artist is Jacob Phillips, and it does have an absolute noir feel to it, right? It's not just like the what's happening. It's not that episode, the Charlie episode, where he's the fucking detective janitor of It's Always Sunny. Like, that is kind of the world that it's living in. But I do have to say this: we spoke here about the Animatrix a few weeks back. The fucking noir installment in the Animatrix
Holy
was
shit.
one of the best, if not the best.
So
I
good.
would only put it in the back seat to the prequel episodes because they're really like, this is how we got to where Matrix started. I'm like, oh, okay. I was taking notes and I was preparing myself for the midterm that never came. But yeah, 100%, it is in that fucking vein.
And I think
You
what's,
could put pointy ears on him and say that this
yeah.
is, Gotham by Gaslight. It's that type of feel. It's not that era, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong,
but
but
what's
it has
also
that feel.
I've always and the easiest gateway to this opinion, the bridge has been built through Four Color Funnies because comic books are proof that there is any genre that's a banger I'll enjoy. I like good shit.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
what's great about noir stories or detective
Like
stories?
Charlie read Chasing Emmy cover to cover, and he's like, no,
Yeah,
no,
it's well,
I get it.
I
I
truly
get it.
do believe. I mean, it's something we talk about all the
Charlie's a
time.
buffet man.
I am a buffet boy. Um, there's just when it's good, it's good. And like you were just saying, Image has been on such a
Image is
hit
just
streak. The reason I haven't picked up New Burn yet is because there's just so many, there's only so many hours in the day I can dedicate to reading comics. So some of them wind up
I'm
being
with you.
vaguely on the radar. And then I need stuff like this. I need to hear it
Or
from
like
people like
as
you.
an eventuality, like, I'll get to this, but there's no billion-dollar franchise that it's going to be wrapped. At least
Yeah,
not to my
yeah.
knowledge. New Burn is not going to be one of those fucking titles. But the funny thing also is, do you feel the same way? Certain things come to you at certain times because you're like ready for it or you're open
Yeah.
for it. Where if it
100%.
had been a week before or after, it might have missed the window. So I think I also mentioned here I had been deep. I had been more than ankle deep down a fucking mafia rabbit hole.
Yes.
I have been watching
Yeah. Many Saints of
Sammy
Newark
the
broke your
Bull,
heart.
Gravano, fucking series, listening to podcasts, and Michael Francis has a show, has puts up episodes, and I'm digging that. I fucking just reread Wise Guy, which was the source for, based on a true story, the source for
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas, and the connections. The particular writer whose name escapes me now, he also wrote, because like I am like, I'm just all about it. Like, I'm telling people forget about it, and I'm biting my, I'm already living in Jersey, so that's half the battle.
John woke up this morning.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, so I the fact that you have this like genre piece, again, coming from the chef who I've been gobbling everything that this motherfucker puts on the plate. I'm like, yeah, okay, awesome, great. A detective story. Batman's not willing to give it to me. All of a sudden, here comes Image riding on their horse. But also, as well as Charlie, it's a damn mafia story. So this is one of those.
It might as well be called John's next comic book obsession.
It's called John, Sit Down, You're Gonna Like This, issue number 1. So yeah, for anybody, if you are joining us late, New Burn number 1, it's on stands now. I very much loved it, and I have really loved universally, with almost with very few exceptions, I'll put it this way, everything that has been coming out of Image. And again, the comics coming from Image, the voices coming from Image have been, for me, a very welcome third option to the big two.
I mean, again, the negative people out there would argue that it's because they're playing with less expensive toys. There's less chance of them breaking it, and I don't necessarily subscribe to that, because
my counter to that, counselor, would be, and
touche,
and that, like, what's your fucking point? So because I'm not driving a leased Lamborghini, I can try to parallel park in a spot that like is questionable. Fuck you, man. You made your decisions. Live with them. I've got my situation. I'm gonna go ahead and deal with it. I will say this though: Image has not stopped with the creative. They haven't stopped with putting the good, the progressive voice for Image has not been limited to their creative side, because also, as well as, and this is something that has gotten criminally little coverage, Image Comics employees signed an open letter announcing the formation of a union.
That is fucking earth changing. Just weeks
Comic
ago,
Book Workers United.
I mean,
Comic Book Union. How many stories, Charlie? How many stories, good viewers, good listeners, have you sat here and listened to the big guys, gals, whomever, entities, fucking punching down, right? You want to talk about all these stories that are, propagating our social fucking media experiences, and thank God most people are still working from home comparatively, because the water cooler conversations would have been on repeat, right?
This sucks. Yeah, it does.
God, man. Thank God that now we have something fucking new. It's like David gets one off on a Goliath for once. And I don't look at Image Comics as a big bad. Like, they don't have the testicle chin of Thanos. They don't have the fucking scout. Like, I don't look at them as like, oh, they're the bad guys. Image Comics was created by the little guys.
I mean, it's
right?
the perfect
the prime fucking artist of their creators in the comic book world of their time. They formed Image. Now, obviously, a lot has happened, right? We've got a family band worth of fucking fireworks and back office situations to talk about. You can make a great documentary about that shit, and they have. But Image Comics, as it stands now, is not like, you don't see them in court. You don't see creative or descendants of creatives who are now part of billion-dollar franchises suing Image. No, no, no. Yet that being said, it's the Image employees who are the first ones at the table saying, "Look, this is what we're going to do. You're asking for, you're asking more from us for less. We are, we're important. Like what
Yeah.
we do matters here for the ongoing fucking going ons of this company. And look, fair is fair."
And for me, that's the big. This is one of those times. All respect due to New Bern. I can't wait to read it now.
Read it. Read it.
I can't wait. No disrespect intended to any of the talent at Image. This is the sort of topic, this is the sort of conversation that is so much bigger than comics. A couple weeks ago, we talked about companies, specifically comic companies, fucking over the people who actually make us love the shit. There is no suit on earth for any company on earth that has ever been the reason why I loved something. No one at
What about a tie? Like has a tie sold a comic
there's
for
been
you?
a couple power ties
All right,
that
because
have
I
worked for
could
me.
do the
You know what it is? It's really
I could do the bow tie without even looking in
it's
the mirror.
when John Constantine pulled up his tie and it was super short because he always wears
Yes,
it so loose.
yes,
That's
thank
what
you.
sold me
Like,
on
look at this mother
just the greatest moment in
Laurel and
television.
Hardy short tie wearing summer bitch.
But sincerely, this, especially now, when we're all paying a little bit more attention to the world and what maybe we do have some fucking control of it, like maybe we're not victims of the companies we work for, maybe we're partners, maybe we
You're
deserve
not
something.
voiceless. You're not under the thumb. You're not being cast about in the open ocean, and you are just gonna be victim to the fucking comings and goings of the tide. Let me just really quickly
Yes,
read you the
please
actual,
do it to it.
credit where credit's due, obviously. So specifically, this was the letter, the open letter announcing the formation of the union. For years, comic publishing workers have watched our professional efforts support creators and delight readers. Ain't that the truth? Sadly, we have also watched that same labor be taken for granted at best and exploited at worst. Keeping our heads above water was the new normal before the pandemic, and since its onset, we have been expected to take on even larger workloads with fewer resources. Our workforce and the comic book and publishing industry as a whole is overtaxed and undervalued. This is detrimental not only to general staff, but also to the creators we are paid to serve and the audiences they in turn work to entertain. Our labor is integral to the comic book industry. Fuck yes. It requires specialized skills, dedication, and makes quality publishing possible. We love what we do. I think that's the most fucking important thing to let that resonate, folks. But loving what you do doesn't mean you can't or shouldn't ask for improvements to your working conditions. It is with this in mind and with great hope for the future of Image Comics and the comic book industry itself that we announce our intent to form a union and request voluntary recognition. So this letter was signed by Ryan Brewer, Leanna Conter, Marla Idzik, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that wrong, or mispronounced it rather, Drew Fitzgerald, Melissa Gifford, Chloe Ramos, Tiffany Ramos, John Schaffman, and Erica Schnatz. Um, so look, I mean, this group, they looked to the creators of Image themselves as inspiration. These are the same group of people, the
Fuck
creators of Image,
yes.
I say, that said, you know what, this is baloney. Creators' rights are a thing. You would not have what you have as a company without us. So you know what? Let's go. And
And
they did it.
it's and
And
it's
this was like this was an no shots fired proclamation, and I love it. I'm all for it, man.
and again, this is one of those stories that is such an easy line in the sand for me.
Yeah.
We're not talking about nuance. We're talking about broad strokes. And
Practical, everyday stuff.
I lose joy from comic books when they're tainted by ugly truths. Seeing an amazing piece of art that has an artist's name digitally removed on a poster
That's just
breaks
Bush League.
my little
It's
heart.
Bush League.
Knowing that in this pandemic, when comic books brought me so much joy, to know that on the other side of that was someone who was getting 2 hours of sleep because they had 6 deadlines that all got moved up because paper's more expensive, so we have to print on a Tuesday
Yeah,
instead of a Thursday.
it takes the juice out of potentially what it yucks your yum. Again, to
Exactly
use a
right.
Charlieism, it
And
really does.
even grosser though, how come, and a lot of these companies and a lot of defenders of companies and a lot of people who get nervous about unions and things like that, what they tend to always bring up to me is, I think, the final nail in their coffin always, which is, well, we have to be a team. Well, a fucking team is all parties working together,
Right.
motherfucker, not just the coach. If the
Well,
coach is being a
the funny thing
dickhole,
is, if somebody comes and says, "Look, I have grievances. I need this, and this to be better in order for me to do what I do properly," you're not a team. So if someone says, if their counter is, "Well, we need to be a team," I agree with you. I also have news. We're not a team right now. See, to me, the conversation always ends up going down one particular road, right? People who are, and this is not a political show, obviously. This is goofy, four-color funny book, two dum-dums ranting about stuff that we're likely to change our mind about tomorrow, but this ain't one of them. This ain't one of them. Because ultimately, when these type of conversations, unions and, greater good type stuff, like credit where credit's due type stuff, it always comes down to one thing, Charlie. Dollar bills, y'all. Fucking dollar bills. So they're ultimately always going to be saying the same thing. Whether you're talking about McDonald's, whether you're talking about a governmental body, or whether you're talking about damn comic books, what they're always going to fall back on is, well, that's going to mean a higher price tag for you, the consumer. And you know what? I will say it here officially. Let it count, take it to court, jot it down. I will have it notarized and sign it twice. If I have to pay a quarter, 50 cents, $1 more for my issues in order for the creators of that content to have what they need to do what they do best, then I will absolutely gladly pay that extra couple of shekels. Because if that's the conversation, if the conversation is, well, we can treat people shitty, or not even shitty, like I'm not even going to put horns. Like I said, I think Image is a wonderful organization. If we're just going to say, okay, well, the authority, not the one that Superman and Batman are running with right now, if the big guys are going to have their say, then they can't pay. Well, you know what? If it comes down to it, if I have to choose between the two, the little guy, I'm always going to root for the little guy. That's how I'm wired. I'm a Virgo, right? I'm an earth sign. That's how we do. We've got something called empathy, right? I'm always going to root for the little guy in any fucking given situation. Look at the sports teams that I root for, dadgummit, right? I'm always going to do that. So I am officially 100% behind this group. I hope that not only is it successful in their nest where they are currently, but I hope that it carries over. And once again, Image leads the way, is the most progressive company that I can think of, in terms of doing what they're doing, and that it ends up spilling out and growing and becomes an industry issue, not just a company issue.
I absolutely love it. What a way to put a perfect exclamation point on that thought. I will throw my hat which is lovely branded with the US Comics logo. I'll throw my hat in the ring with you. I will say this, though. Let's also hope that this proves that working in better environments produces better shit. Because my comic book budget is what it is. And if Image keeps up the hot streak they're on with dropping the absolute best of the best, I'll continue to spend all those shekels on them. I'm sorry, John. I know you don't hear me, but I'm still good. You sound like a robot. Are you coming in through the front speakers? Yeah, John's having a little bit of technical difficulty. I'm just going to keep making my point. My point is this. My budget is what it is every Wednesday, and if I need to pay more for the best books, I will. And that's what it comes down to. It is a team effort. I believe in what these creators are doing. I believe in the union they are trying to have acknowledged by Image, and I truly, truly believe that if it does happen, if we do have to pay some more, as long as the CEOs aren't taking an unfair share, I think it'll be great, even if it does cost me an extra couple bucks. The great thing, though, is with those extra ducats I can support one of today's absolute fantastic sponsors, and compared to every other podcast that I listen to, we actually enjoy our sponsors' content. Our first sponsor this week is Bad Mary. You can support one of my favorite bands of all time, Bad Mary, on all of their social media platforms over at Bad Mary Band. You can support them financially by throwing a couple bucks their way over on patreon.com/Bad Mary. You go to the website right now, badmary.com, and you can buy some swag, buy some CDs. They're dropping brand new singles. They just dropped that you'll hear at the end of this episode, because, oh, baby, you know you love it. John.
Baby, there was...
John, I think you're coming out of somewhere weird, because you're getting really, really super echoey. You sound like a robot from the past that came to the future. You still sound robotish. Do you want to drop out and come back in? My brother's Mr. Roboto. His name's Roboto. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and throw to the chat real quick.
Hear me now.
Still a robot, and you're coming to me from the past. It's very slow and...
A regular fucking...
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
It is peculiar. You also sound crazy, as Ellis said. You just came across as 1100011100011. The robots have gone to John because he supports comic book unions, and I don't like it, says the robot overlords. But I say nay. And how dare you, Ellis? We are not happy.
Yeah, that is really the... but you gotta...
Nope, you're still unlistenable. I cannot, no one can hear that and not want to jump off a cliff. John has left me. Let me get rid of the brand off of my head as John tries to get back in. As always, I want to hear what you guys think about it. You can tell us on all of our social media, which is all at Reed. It's all at US Comics HQ. That's on all social media. There's also a time where you should smash one of those like buttons wherever you see it, and you should drop a comment, even if it just says hi. You can also rate, comment, and subscribe anywhere where that stuff is possible. Most importantly, on Spotify and or iTunes, you can go ahead and leave a review. It gives us all the monies, and I love all the monies. John, do you still sound like a robot?
How do I sound? You tell me.
Oh, he sounds so good. He sounds so good. I want to hear all about our second sponsor tonight.
All right, way to just fucking throw me right in there. First and first, mostly, I don't know if you took the opportunity, but as you were running down Bad Mary's accolades, there's a very, very important one today, November 3rd. It is the birthday of the first lady of Bad Mary. Damn, Amanda, happy birthday to you. We hope you are snacking, napping, and living your best birthday life today. Happy birthday to Amanda from Bad Mary. She is front and center in all their tunes.
I also really love that her husband on social media put up Amanda in full rock mode, just sweaty, screaming. It was awesome.
That's her final form. Like, she is Super Saiyan. What she's
There's
got to
just
say.
fire behind her.
Oh yeah, that's how she has her cereal in the morning, bro. She's like, anywho. But also, as well as, just so we can get out of this segment, our other sponsor, Sergeant Finesse. You can find them on gaming on both Twitch and also as well as Facebook gaming. Multiple streams every day. Outstanding gaming content. Supporter games, co-streams, giveaway contest. Don't be a sucker. Check them out today. Throw them a like, a follow, a share. Shit, consider becoming a supporter. But also as well as follow the White Rabbit over to sneakenergy.com. Use code SGT at checkout for some good. If you're looking for some fresh new gear, however, go ahead over to geeksunleashed.com. Use code SARGE at checkout there. Because when the Sarge is on deck, there's only one thing to do. God damn it. Salute. GG, son.
Hell yeah. Way to deal with robot chaos in the best way possible. Why don't you take out that fingy, though, and start my time, baby?
This fingy dropping son of a bitch. Start your clock.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I used to go to one website first every time I logged into the internet. Yes, I am old enough that I used to have to cultivate a nice collection of those AOL CDs, throw them in my PC tower from Gateway. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I appreciate the Gateway glory. And I would have to check one website before all others, and I would go to movietrailers.com.
Moviepoopshoot.com.
Yes, that's what I evolved into. But at first, it was just watching trailers. You couldn't even leave feedback. You just would be like, ooh, I can't wait to see that movie. But a terrible thing has happened. And I have finally found a movie that's so important to me and such a mystery to me that suddenly trailers
The wheels are in motion.
have become my enemy. Because Ghostbusters Afterlife is coming to theaters in just a matter of weeks. And the new trailer and new clips, they're stalking me. Everywhere I look, everywhere I turn, they're trying to fucking show me Paul Rudd do something because I keep hearing his voice for half a second. They keep trying to show me a terror dog that looks too tall. I don't know what up with that, but I don't need to know if a terror dog has different horns. So I literally am living day to day, night to night, in fear. When I watch YouTube, I have to have the mute button ready if it's on my TV. If I'm watching a clip on my phone of some girl getting hurt on Instagram, because that's the main reason I have Instagram. I follow girls getting hurt.
Oof.
It's hilarious.
Carly's therapist, I hope you are watching this episode because
she sends me some of those clips. I have to keep my finger on the lower volume button.
Your what?
My fingy
there
on
it
the
is.
lower volume,
now I understand what you're talking
on
about.
the lower volume button.
Nick Kroll, patent pending, trademark.
And John, I've thrown my phone and cupped my ears if I've missed.
All right,
so
clearly we know where our mother gets her phone fucking tendencies from. She sees her second youngest, we think, treat his phone like a $2 hua in Vegas and just and throw it away the second anything Ghostbusters related pops on screen. What's ironic is that the algorithm throws everything Ghostbusters related Charlie's way because it is 97.2% of the stuff that he looks at online. Unbelievable.
It is the perfect storm of technology turning against me. And Ellis over on Facebook, watching live, which all of you can do every single Wednesday at 8 o'clock because it's Wednesday. You know what that means. Ellis brings up a great point. He said he misses the old days when trailers surprised you before movies. Now you've already seen them online and on television. And more to the point, you just get inundated with clips. Now, the thing about movies, I love movie trailers. So other than movietrailer.com, which I used to regular,
Yeah.
I used to
Apple movie trailers was like
yes,
an automatic visit.
absolutely. But also in going to the cinema, one of my absolute favorite things, I would be that guy who's like, I need to be there 20 minutes early because I need to do the trivia where the questions don't change every month, so I always seem smart after I've seen it twice. But also I want to see all the trailers on this giant screen. Now, if I were to go to a movie, I'm like, what time does it start? It starts at 8. I have to be there at 8:10 because I'm not running the risk of this trailer being shoved in my face. So I'm gonna throw it to you. We've had low end versions of this conversation before, but I thought it deserved a deep dive.
Sure.
With movie trailers, which we know is a business, their job is to get you to spend that money.
It's a whole separate creative team.
Absolutely. You know, that creative team, they sometimes make some interesting choices. Sometimes they use clips that don't wind up making the final cut. Sometimes they use alternative clips. I mean, the Marvel films, specifically the Avenger flicks, have become notorious for tricking you. They're like, look, Hulk's in the background. Then there was no Hulk in the fucking movie. I love shit like that. It makes it so safe. So first I'll begin at the beginning. What are your feelings on the art of movie trailers? I know you said the AppleMovieTrailers.com used to be a regular for you.
Yeah.
Well, talk to me about your love affair or lack thereof with movie trailers.
I mean, the short version of, because I think you covered a lot of ground already. The short version of it is, movie trailers served one purpose for me. Well, that's not true. Two purposes. Number one, to inform me that, oh shit, this movie is coming out. It didn't used to be the case that we knew a production company's fucking schedule for the next 2 years ahead of time. We didn't fucking know. Like, honestly, the reaction of the information, the information drop that Boondocks 3 hit us, like that level of excitement. We're like, oh shit. I still remember like my "where were you when JFK was shot" moment is, I remember where I was, what I was doing, what I was wearing, who was around when I found out that Batman the movie was happening.
Ooh,
with Michael Keaton. And the issue was, oh, Batman's coming. Like, these are print fucking things. Like, we didn't get advanced fucking trailers, or it didn't happen. So it informs me that, okay, this movie is coming. So when it's non-franchise, when it's not part of a pre-laid out blueprint of movie releases, things like The Green Knight, I'm like, oh, look at this shit, or whatever, like fill in the blank, fucking Dune even.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, here it comes, this movie is coming. Then you watch the snippets that they give you, and you sit back and you're like, I remember the little mini game, sitting in the theater, having your popcorn, drinking your drink, of you, like, you watch a trailer and like, nah, no thank you, or yep, I'm definitely gonna see it. Like, it's one of those, like, basically movie trailers were the precursors of swipe left, swipe right. You're like, nah, swipe left on that shit. Oh, swipe right. Oh yeah. How tall? So like that was where I was. So it informed me that the movie was coming, and it usually determined, like, if I'm gonna catch it or not catch it, far more than any critics review, fucking Rotten Tomato, this, that, and the other thing. Like, no, show me what you got. I will decide if I'm gonna lay down my hard-earned ducats to see the fucking spectacle. But I'm glad that you brought up a secondary point. Actually, like 5 or 6. But the second point that I do want to address that you brought up is, when is enough? When is it too much? In certain genres, I think you run into really more of that danger than others. Anchorman 2 comes immediately to mind. Somebody says, oh, Anchorman 2 sucked. No, it didn't suck. It didn't suck. Was it as good as the first? No, but there's a lot of things working in that equation. didn't surprise you. You saw it coming. It was one of those situations where you're like, oh, I know what to expect. Also, as well as you develop your own expectation. Oh, I hope they do this. I hope they do that. And if they didn't, then you're in a fucking, a last episode of Sopranos situation. They didn't do what I wanted them to. No. Anchorman 2 ran into the issue of basically showing us all the funniest moments. They buried the lead like they had lie and shovels ready to go after that poker fucking game went sideways. They in essence stole from you. So comedies, I think, are far more dangerous territory for a trailer ruining it, as opposed to a sci-fi flick, a comic book flick, where, like you said, they're just as apt to end up using different cuts. There was a moment that I was just so waiting for in the movie because I remember the trailer being so neat, and they used it incessantly in not just the movie trailer, like in the theater trailers, but the advertising campaign. And it was when fucking Tony Stark just threw, this was before the digital fucking everything, micro fucking tech, blah 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 bullshit. He was like snarky comment. I'm definitely gonna have sex with you later. Just he's on the plane, it's wide open. He throws his helmet out and he jumps out helmetless, like to catch his helmet and do his Iron Man shit. And I'm like, oh man, if you didn't want to be fucking Iron Man before, that's when you wanted to be Iron Man. And that fucking memory is burned in my brain. What part is it in the movie? Didn't happen in the movie. It did not make the fucking cut.
Now let me ask you this, because that brings up another good point. Because again, we share a brain, so we're pretty lined up right now. I'm very curious what you feel like, because I'm going to once again kick us to our Facebook chat. They brought up that amazing TIE fighter shot in Rogue One, where the TIE fighter just like creeps up on our lead protagonist. That shit's not in the movie at all.
That shit is like a poster, and it never happens.
I distinctly remembering that movie, and I was like, fuck yeah, I was high-fiving people. I'm like, Rogue One's the shit, yeah. What happened to the TIE fighter, though? So what do you feel like?
But.
Because what I was going to say regarding Anchorman 2, because I agree with you, they did give away so many funny moments.
I mean, comedies in general, that's their minefield.
What's interesting is you think they'd have the easiest time of choosing a second take for something like an Anchorman movie, because the first Anchorman film has like 12 versions that have different versions of different jokes in the same scene.
Yeah, but it's still no. Hold on a second. They're not different jokes. They're different punchlines.
Fair enough.
Now, that being said, when you pull a Charlie and you watch every iota of extra minutes for a movie that even modicum liked a little bit, what's inevitably going to happen is you're like, I like that version better. I like this version better. A prime example that comes to mind is I Love Lamp. I Love Lamp. Right? Everybody, like, there were t-shirts, there were grandmas that never saw the movie, didn't know the actors in it, fucking I Love Lamping it, like, ha ha ha. It was like, where's the beef? Then when you watch the after, the extras, that like just go on playing after you've fallen asleep watching the DVD, you see that Steve Carell did like, I don't know, give or take 2,000 takes of it. And some of them for my dollar were funnier than Isle of Lamp. They were definitely funnier. Now, what would have happened if in Charlie World, Charlie's like, haha, he pooped a squirrel. That's just going in the trailer. And I'm seeing the trailer, my God, that is hilarious. And I go to the theaters and I plunked on my money. He's like, I love Lamp. You love Lamp? Go fuck yourself. You love Lamp? I hate you. Right? So
I want that different. As a shirt now. I love Lamp, under it, I hate you. I have to know then, now we live in a world when you saw Avengers and you're like, where the fuck is Hulk? I didn't pay for Bruce Banner in the Hulkbuster suit, or when the TIE fighter doesn't show up. Is there a specific moment that you were like, this is bullshit?
What do you mean?
Is
Repeat the
there a
question?
moment? Yeah, is there a specific moment that you remember from a trailer that when it didn't happen in the film, you were like, "Yo, fuck this whole film"? Did you have a "I love Lamp"? He pooped a squirrel moment.
No, not really, because ultimately, the trailer is just an appetizer
Yeah.
for the meal of the movie. So nobody goes to, I mean, like theater kids at like Applebee's at fucking 1 in the morning, they go to the restaurant for appetizers. But regular normies, as we've all aged into, we don't go to the restaurant for appetizers. You're there for a fucking meal.
And also
So
not fucking Applebee's. No thanks. Hard pass
I
Applebee's.
mean, it's a generous usage of the term meal, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
trailers. So in other words, the analogy that springs to mind is in fucking Demolition Man when they're rolling to Taco Bell because Taco Bell won the Burger Wars. Ironic. Um, the radio station that they're listening to is the commercial
Yep.
station. Like they're just jingles. They're listening to jingles and they're fucking jamming out. That's the equivalent. Like trailers are like jingles in essence. So I don't anticipate like just sitting watching the fucking trailer channel and being like, I am so satisfied right now.
I'd watch the shit out of
Bring
that.
me on that Taco Bell. Well,
Well,
only to a certain degree because how much material can you really have?
That's
Apple
true.
movie trailers was one of the most robust, and there was 3 pages. And of
Always.
those 3 pages, there was maybe a dozen where I'm like, okay, I don't want to see the 5700th fucking Jane Eyre, adaptation. Like they want to talk about comic book movies rebooting. Jane Eyre has been rebooted more fucking times. Like you could unlace and lace back up 17 corsets that all these poor bitches have to wear before you ever get to the end of those reboots.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
that's a deep well. But so a lot of times it's the studios themselves, it's the creators of these trailers that are the last last in line to realize that the culture has changed. Do you think this endless assault of trailers and variations of trailers and new clips, and before this YouTube, watch 10 seconds, watch the mini puff scene that happens in the grocery store, watch the ecto chase, watch the new logo, the new, do you actually think that this barrage moves the needle? Do you think people need more than a teaser and a trailer and then a short version of the trailer? Are you sincerely, not what you would like, because I think people like us kind of know what we're going to see when we see the year of films lined up.
Which
I'm
is
talking
absurd.
it's pathetic, but I love it and I wouldn't want to change at all.
Guilty, man. I'm just guilty. That's how it is now.
Do you think for normies, for lack of a better idiom, do you think they actually need that 5th trailer to be like, now I'll go?
Well, here's the thing, and I realize that this is a hard fact. This is one of those tough truths to like nobody's mama birded it for you. Nobody's gummed it up and like so you can soften it as it goes past your trachea. Charlie, we are the norm now.
Ooh.
That we have graduated to be that target, the coveted target demographic. I'm not talking about like what you're a fan of or what you buy action figures of. That's all gravy on their proverbial fucking meal. We're the target demographic. So they're already speaking to us.
Yeah.
Right? We're in that wheelhouse. I would say it has evolved into that. We haven't changed because of that. That content has changed because of us. Right? They're not gearing that advertising style. They're not trying to make us reform us into liking that advertising style. That's what we've demanded, and it's really because of one singular big change that has dominated the fucking landscape compared to like the good old days when I was a kid. It's social media.
Yeah.
It's only because of social media. So I
They have to produce new. Is the thought?
they have to for 2 reasons. 3 reasons actually. Our attention span has shrunk to all-time lows. They need to get their hooks into us earlier and earlier, not because we'll have forgotten. If they say this Christmas and we're in the middle of a fucking summer heat wave, I'm like, oh, come Christmas time, I'm like, I didn't even remember this was coming. I'll remember it. Don't worry. It's because that's what everyone else is doing. If everybody is out there fucking already fishing for your Christmas dollar on the 4th of July, shit, then they have to go out and they've got to drop 4th of July trailers for a Christmas flick.
Yeah.
Also, they have to do it. So it's social media, it's our attention spans, and also it's just the fucking simple fact of the matter is that, like you were talking about before, like, oh, will we forget? Their process has changed so much so that if I tell you pick any franchise, AEW, who I'm shocked we've gotten to this point and you haven't talked about them yet. AEW is pulling their first, like what WWE did with The Rock. Like they were producers on early Rock projects before Dwayne Johnson's name was put on anything. If AEW did that same shit, Charlie's gonna be like the first in line, so to speak. Right?
Yeah.
So if they were to fucking do that, and they want to get, again, we'll use that same analogy. They want your Christmas dollar, and they're gonna tantalize you on the 4th of July. Between the 4th of July and the actual Christmas release, that fucking flick has gone through more changes than goddamn Sonic's eyes and sneakers did between the first trailer and the final product. And also, as well as, Charlie, when those first trailers drop, it used to be, if you want to talk about the good old days, it used to be like, that looks dope, I can't wait to see that. End of conversation.
Yeah.
And the next time we spoke about it was in that theater a few months later watching that movie. Now we watch a trailer and we have every fucking thing in the world to talk about. This color looked wrong. I didn't like that soundtrack, this and the other thing. Like, who the fuck do we think we are?
We're the consumers.
Stop it.
Give me what I want and nothing else. My brother, you know what? If nothing else, I feel better. Unfortunately, we do live in a world where, since social media is absolutely everywhere, I know I just have to keep diving, ducking, dodging, diving, and ducking, because my God, man, when I tell you it's pathetic. I wind up doing this one way too often for an adult.
Boy.
For an adult, and I have a lot of time left. I got a lot of time left.
Now, what's funny to me is that Ghosts, their biggest knock, unless it was Casper's biggest knock is that he was a pederast. Like, Casper, you big-headed dirty bitch. But for all the other life inhibited individuals out there, their fucking job is to haunt you. So my point would be like, yo, Charlie, a Ghostbusters trailer is gonna haunt you like its goddamn namesake. But truly, I feel bad because I have been just as guilty of it. I'm like, oh, Charlie, well, this has got Ecto Cooler flavor all over it. Let me send it over Charlie's way. And Charlie's like, thanks. Like, very, very polite. Like, Charlie's already thinking about his Christmas haul, because he, instead of being like, you fucking dumb piece of shit, I told you don't send me anything Ghostbusters. Instead, he was like, my good brother, thank you so much for thinking of me.
I take out a quill.
Holy shit.
Dearest
all of a sudden,
brother.
He became like a Civil War general writing a fucking letter to his wife.
Dearest
Clara.
Oh, I watched that trailer.
The tide of war rolls upon us as Charlie tries to end the show.
For my dear brother.
That's me.
The CEO, the co-founder, the co-host of US Comics and US Comics Cast by extension, Jon Damn, look at how good his beard always looks, Rivera. I, of course, am your COO.
Winter beard, baby.
I am going to avoid those Ghostbuster trailers if it freaking kills me.
Good
and
luck.
frankly, it's trying to. But, my dear brother, the brand new single from Bad Mary is out now. And I bring that up because there is only one way that we end each and every episode of US Comics Cast. My delightful brother, why don't you tell these people how we do the thing we do?
It is so simple, and today there's an extra step because first and first, mostly, you have to wish the First Lady of Bad Mary herself, Amanda, happy birthday. But then once that is accomplished, you gotta turn the power on. Then you gotta turn the volume up. Then you gotta tune Bad Mary and open up the window wide and scream out into the night sky, "Save me, Space Girl!" We out.